Experiment and Design assignment in Understanding Science and Technology course by Julio Brito Ramos. So each and every research and article first starts with a question, which in this case our question is, will the temperature of a water affect the solubility of sugar in the water or not? Why we are investigating this fact, you might ask? So the reason for that is basically that we want to help you and everyone else understand the molecular interaction between the sugar and water, as well as how the temperature changes affects those interactions. But first, I want to give you an overview that what is solubility. So solubility refers to the ability of a substance or solute to dissolve in a solvent and form of a homogeneous mixture known as solution. So you might think, what are the parameters that will affect the solubility of a water? So for instance, one of those parameters is temperature, pressure, stirring, and particle size, and etc. But in this case, we're not trying to change anything else other than the temperature of water to show you and give you a better idea of how much the temperature of a water will affect the amount of the sugar that can dissolve in the water. So you might think how the temperature of a water will affect the amount of sugar that gets dissolved in. So basically, the more the water gets hotter and it gets more warmed up, the more sugar that you can dissolve in. And the scientific reason for that, it is the more the water gets heat up, the more the molecules get separated from each other, and so there's going to be more space to the molecules of the sugar gets fit in the molecules of the water, and so we're gonna have a sweeter water. But it's obviously not that simple. There are variables in this situation which I am getting into in a minute. So the first variable is the dependent variable, which is going to be the solubility of a sugar in water. And so our independent variable in this case is temperature of the water, and the reason for that is because the more you tweak with the temperature of the water, the more different outcome you will get. You might guess that we're done with the variables, but no. Actually, there is another variable which is called controlled variables, which in this case is going to be pressure, amount of water, the amount of sugar, and the stirring timing. So you might think, what is the meaning of controlled variables? So basically, controlled variables means something that is same in each and every experiment that we do, so it will never change. And so we have prepared an experiment to give you a better idea of how the temperature will affect the solubility of the water and the amount of sugar that will goes into the water. So first we will going to need 4 separate beakers, which we have to fill them up with distilled water, one with ice cold, one with room temperature, and one with one half boiled, and the other one with completely boiled water. The next thing that we're going to need is a thermometer to measure and record each beaker's initial temperature, which this will give us a chance to add ice or add ice cold water to beakers, so we can keep the temperatures at around 4 centigrade. And then we're going to need a hot plate to heat up the half-boiled water and the completely boiled water beakers to their respective temperature, which is going to be around 50 centigrade and 100 centigrade. So now we get to the main part, which now we have to add an estimated amount of 10 grams of sugar to each beaker, and we have to stir them until there is no more sugar that can get dissolved. And then we have to use a stopwatch to record the time that it takes for a complete dissolution. And we do need to repeat this process 2 to 7 times for each temperature level, And at the same time, we have to calculate and compare the solubility of sugar at different temperatures, so we can have a better idea of how much difference there is between different temperatures, how much difference there is in the solubility of the sugar in different temperatures of the water. But please always use the safety measures, since your safety is a priority for us. So what are those safety measures, you might ask? First, you always have to make sure that you're wearing a safety goggles to keep your eyes safe. Then you always have to use a heat resistant glove so you don't get any burns on your hands or anywhere in your body. And then you always have to handle the hot liquids with caution, because we don't want you to get burned. And also, always avoid spills and slips. And now I wanted to get your attention to the slides that you're going to see, since these pictures that are included are pictures from a real-time experiment that we've done in our lab a few days back. And as we saw in our experiment, our theory was correct. The more the water was getting hotter, and the more the temperature was going up, the more sugar we could dissolve in the water. So now we come to the conclusion that we all been waiting for, but we all knew the answer from the start, which is the more sugar was found to dissolve in hot water compared to room temperature and cold water, which this indicates that increasing temperature can increase the rate of dissolving, as more sugar molecules were able to break free and dissolve in hot water.